The child of 90-day Fiancé stars Jasmine and Matt is in critical condition. The infant son of 90-day Fiancé stars Jasmine and Matt is presently hospitalized in critical condition. Jasmine is profoundly troubled by the abrupt decline in his health. Medical professionals remain uncertain on the child's diagnosis. Multiple testing are underway, although no definitive diagnosis has been established. Jasmine, as a mother, is distraught. Nonetheless, she remains hopeful for a swift return to normalcy and the safe return of her kid. Relatives and supporters are offering prayers for them throughout this period. The hospital lights emitted a quiet hum overhead as Jasmine sat in a corner of the clean white room, her hands tightly clutched in her lap. Her visage was pallid, her eyes engorged from insomnia and unvoiced sorrow. Only a few days prior, life seemed quite normal. She and Matt were organizing their son Aiden's 4th birthday celebration. Instead of balloons and cake, Jasmine was listening to the beeping of monitors alongside her son's hospital bed. The onset was abrupt. One morning, Aiden awoke with a little fever. Jasmine, akin to the majority of mothers, was not particularly concerned. Children fall ill. It is a common occurrence. However, within hours, events took a harrowing turn. Aiden had lethargy, abnormal respiration, and his skin appeared pale and clammy. Matt expedited his transport to the emergency room while Jasmine grasped him in the rear seat, murmuring prayers into his ear. The physicians promptly accepted Aiden. Numerous tests ensued, blood analyses, imaging scans, spinal punctures, yet solutions remained unattainable. "We are exerting all possible efforts," they informed her. However, Jasmine discerned their concern reflected in their eyes. That night, Aiden entered a state of semi-consciousness. Machines had the responsibility of overseeing him. Jasmine remained at his side at all times. Matt appeared to be coping better than she was, or at least he feigned it. He contacted specialists, conversed with nurses, and attempted to comfort Jasmine, although he was internally disintegrating. "We must remain resilient," he repeatedly asserted, despite his voice faltering with each utterance. Outside the hospital, the 90-day Fiancé fanbase became aware of their son's serious condition. Messages of encouragement began flooding in from throughout the globe. Floral arrangements, greeting cards, and handcrafted teddy bears, all dispatched with prayers and well wishes. Jasmine scarcely regarded them. Her existence was confined to the cadence of Aiden's respiration and the ambiguous statements of physicians who remained unaware of the underlying issue. On the 3rd day, a pediatric infectious disease team was summoned. They suspected an uncommon autoimmune disorder, potentially induced by a latent virus or genetic aberration. Treatment commenced cautiously, employing a combination of anti-inflammatory medications and immunotherapy, yet no one could assure the result. Jasmine communicated with Aiden hourly. "Mother is present, dear. You possess remarkable strength. You will overcome this." She grasped his diminutive fingers, kissed his forehead, and assured him of excursions, ice cream, and bedtime narratives. Matt also begun to deteriorate at the window, gazing at the overcast sky. "He was well merely days prior," he murmured. What led to this situation? Despite their suffering, Jasmine and Matt became more intimate during the experience. The conflicts, the reality television theatrics, the cultural disparities, they all appeared trivial today. In this silent conflict between existence and ambiguity, love emerged as their sole weapon. On the 5th day, a sign appeared. Aiden awakened. It was minor, merely a finger's twitch, but it sufficed. Jasmine summoned the nurse, her voice quivering. Matt hurried to the bedside. Aiden gradually opened his eyes and said a single word, "Mama." Physicians inundated the room, and a tentative optimism began to proliferate. He remained in jeopardy, however it marked the initial favorable development. Jasmine wept openly for the first time in days, holding her son's hand. 1 week later, Aiden was officially deemed stable. The diagnosis remained ambiguous. Nonetheless, physicians were confident that the treatment was effective. Jasmine and Matt finally exhaled. Cameras awaited outside. The world sought an update. However, Jasmine was indifferent to the media or interviews. She was concerned for her son. As they readied to return home, feeble however recuperating, Jasmine uploaded a solitary photograph on her social media, an image of Aiden faintly smiling in his hospital bed, grasping his parents' hands. 90-day fiancé Matt Brownies appears unhappy after 1 year of relationship with Jasmine. The honeymoon phase of 90-day fiancé stars Matt Brownies and Jasmine Pineda lasted less than a year, and the latter's appearance reflects the state of their relationship. The celebrity's relationship has evidently stalled, indicating significant issues. However, that is not the entirety. Matt's recent appearance astonished his audience due to his visibly distressed demeanor. They speculated about his transformation within merely a year of his relationship with Jasmine. Is this all there is? What observations did fans make? 90-day fiancé Matt and Jasmine are experiencing difficulties in their open marriage. The social media activity of 90-day fiancé stars Matt Brownies and Jasmine Pineda reveals significant insights about their relationship. The former lately disclosed an enigmatic narrative around the betrayal of her trust. The celebrity asserted that the one she had placed considerable trust in was no longer the same. This was an unmistakable indication that Pineda was experiencing difficulties with Matt. However, that is not the entirety. Matt additionally recounted a narrative that seemed to serve as a veiled criticism of Jasmine Pineda. He discussed the necessity for individuals to detest their own sins with the same fervor that they detest the crimes of others. This also contributed to the narrative that the couple, who first engaged in public displays of affection on social media, are now experiencing difficulties in their relationship. Jasmine Pineda, a star of 90-Day Fiancé, recently shared a photograph of Matt Brownies that had profound meaning. It seemingly depicted Matt cradling Maddie as they awaited Jasmine's coming home. The celebrity stated, "Mother returning from the gym and father observing." Although it was intended to be a heartwarming father-daughter moment, observers promptly remarked on Matt's facial expressions. A recent Reddit thread initiated by the original poster highlighted that Matt was somewhat miserable. His fatigued eyes were conspicuous, and fans promptly observed his vacant gaze. However, that is not the entirety. Matt's body language seemingly indicated that he was emotionally disengaged. A user articulated that Matt was, in fact, leading a life he never desired. He candidly acknowledged to the cameras his association with Jasmine, asserting that the open marriage lacked any major implications. However, circumstances have undergone a dramatic transformation. Matt is now a parent and bears lifelong duty for his daughter. Jasmine Pineda had been anticipating the days before she and Gino Palazzolo returned to Michigan for a long-anticipated family reunion with Gino's extended relatives. Following months of emotional fluctuations, intense disputes, and cultural misinterpretations, Jasmine anticipated that this vacation would foster healing and intimacy, not only between herself and Gino but also with his doubtful relatives. The reunion took place in Gino's cousin Melissa's lake house, a spacious, comfortable cottage situated in Michigan, enveloped by pine trees and summer sunlight. All relatives were present: aunts, uncles, cousins, nieces, nephews, and Gino's older brother Tony, who had consistently had doubts over Jasmine's motives. Upon Jasmine's arrival on the deck, she sensed the palpable tension in the atmosphere. As she passed, whispers trailed after her. Despite her pleasant smiles and greetings, she discerned sidelong stares and overheard sporadic remarks on green cards and drama. However, Jasmine, resolute in altering perceptions, maintained her composure. She assisted in the cooking, engaged with the children, and recounted anecdotes from her youth in Panama. Gradually, several family members started to become receptive to her, excluding Tony. Tony had consistently disapproved of Jasmine and had explicitly conveyed his sentiments to Gino throughout the years. That evening, amidst grilled steaks and corn on the cob, Tony ultimately resolved to confront Jasmine, vociferously. "So, Jasmine," he remarked, swirling his beer, "how long until you persuade Gino to relocate to Panama permanently? Are you merely present until the citizenship documents are completed?" The entire deck became silent. Jasmine's smile diminished. "That is sufficient, Tony," Gino retorted, although Tony continued, "No, She must respond. Whenever you are in her company, conflict arises. You are unhappy. We seldom encounter you now, Gino. She is fracturing this family. Jasmine rose gradually, striving to maintain composure. However, her voice quivered. You possess no knowledge regarding our relationship. Gino and I share mutual affection. It is not flawless, yet we contend because we are invested. I am not present for a passport. I abandoned my entire existence to be with him. Tony scoffed derisively. Affection. Why do you consistently threaten to go from him? Exhibiting distress through weeping and vocal outbursts in a public setting? That is not love, Jasmine. That constitutes manipulation. That was the ultimate tipping point. Jasmine's repressed anger erupted. Do you believe I am exerting influence over Gino? Are you aware of the extent of my sacrifices to attain this position? I departed from my family, my employment, and my nation. I continue to be scrutinized, humiliated, and treated as an outsider. Your incessant criticism and disrespect are what are truly ripping Gino apart. Gino attempted to intervene, but Jasmine was already weeping. You all expect me to be flawless, yet none of you have made an effort to comprehend me. I am not your adversary. I am now a member of this family as well. Unexpectedly, Gino's cousin Melissa intervened. Sufficient, she exclaimed. This event is intended to be a family reunion, not a battleground. Tony, you have expressed your opinion. Now relinquish it. Jasmine, I understand it is challenging, but raising your voice will not be beneficial. Jasmine acquiesced, dabbing her tears. She faced Gino. I can no longer continue with this, Gino. If they cannot accept me, perhaps I should return to Panama. No, Gino asserted, grasping her hand. We arrived here to progress, not regress. If my family cannot accept you, then that is their issue, not ours. Tony sighed in exasperation and departed off the deck, murmuring indistinctly. The remaining family members remained silent, uncomfortable and astonished. However, Melissa rose and advanced towards Jasmine. I may not comprehend all aspects of your relationship, she stated softly, but I do recognize that you love him. I apologize for the manner in which you were handled today. It was not complete acceptance, but it was a measure of progress. That evening, Jasmine and Gino departed the reunion prematurely and proceeded to a secluded motel in proximity. While there in silence, observing the stars through the window, Gino drew Jasmine nearer. We shall overcome this, he stated gently. Perhaps not today. Perhaps not tomorrow. However, we shall. For the first time in weeks, Jasmine smiled, not due to perfection, but because she finally felt acknowledged. Nevertheless, the sun shone intensely over the streets of Panama City, while within Jasmine's apartment, turmoil was escalating. Jasmine Pineda stood in the center of the living room, clutching Gino Palazzolo's phone with trembling palms. Her visage was crimson, her heart pulsating rapidly. She had recently observed a message from Gino's former partner. A flirty message. Gino had asserted that he had moved on from his past, although this telegram conveyed a contrasting narrative. Gino, what is this? Jasmine shrieked, tears beginning to well in her eyes. Gino emerged from the bedroom, still in a state of drowsiness. What? What is occurring, dear? You deceived me once more. You stated that you no longer communicate with her. You made a promise to me. I did not fabricate. Gino retorted defensively, rubbing his head. She contacted me unexpectedly. I did not even reply. Why did you not block her then? Why does she remain in your contacts? Do you believe I am foolish? Jasmine hurled the phone onto the couch and strode into the kitchen. I sacrificed everything for you, Gino. My pride, my profession, my tranquility. All you offer me is treachery. Gino attempted to soothe her, but his remarks just exacerbated the situation. In a surge of fury, Jasmine commenced gathering her belongings. Hold on. Please do not leave. Jasmine, we can discuss this matter. However, Jasmine was experiencing a complete emotional breakdown. This is not a romance. This is a battleground. I no longer wish to exist in this manner. The tension persisted for a duration of 2 complete days. Gino employed every conceivable tactic, flowers, cuisine, and even a promise of a new iPhone. However, Jasmine was obstinate. She confined herself in the guest room, playing Shakira's music at high volume and weeping into her pillow. Subsequently, the notorious therapy session occurred. They consented to conduct the session virtually. Nonetheless, the therapist seldom had an opportunity to speak. Jasmine shrieked, Gino muttered, and the therapist appeared appalled. "You must learn to respect my emotions, Gino," Jasmine stated, her voice quivering with anguish. "I feel as though I am suffocating in this love, and you are the one submerging me." "I love you," Gino eventually stated, with unforeseen fervor. "I acknowledge my mistakes. A significant amount. However, I have never loved anyone as I love you." For the first time in several days, Jasmine refrained from screaming. She refrained from weeping. She remained stationary, gazing at him. Subsequently, they convened on the balcony together that night. Gino extended his hand and grasped hers. Jasmine remained engaged. "Perhaps," she said, "we are both somewhat unhinged. Perhaps that is the reason for our collaboration." They embraced beneath the Panamanian sky, both acutely aware that the tempest was far from concluded. Nevertheless, they consistently endured it collectively.